Help. Help with an idea for human flourishing. When you hear help, it is the trumpet call to a fictional world in which there are heroes, where godlike men and women come together and they respond to this call and say that we are going to relieve oppression, we are going to relieve suffering, we are going to correct an injustice. These men and women, they walk amongst us like Bruce Waynes and Clark Kents and Diana Princes and Victor Stones, men and women who have everyday lives, fully human, yet when they hear this call of help, they spring into action and they exercise their God-like powers in order to relieve injustice for others. I want to propose to you an idea in an age, in a passion for social justice where men and women across our cities and our state and our country and our globe are hearing these calls for help, that they have this desire to turn the dark todays of men and women and children into bright tomorrows. There is this passion, there is this idea with these men and women who say that we want to affirm human dignity. We want to see the inclusion of all types of men and women and children, and we want to stimulate ideas that bring about human flourishing. I want to provide for us today an idea that while we do things for men and women, a new idea in which where diverse people come together around a table on a landscape of a new world, that these different men and women can join this type of league and can reveal their superpower to bring about human flourishing. And so let me tell you about two people. First is Brian. Now, Brian is an older gentleman that I know, but he's an alcoholic. Cheap beer, bad cigarettes. And he has a chihuahua that follows him every day. And so when you see Brian, you smell his breath, cheap beer and cheap cigarettes, and he is an alcoholic every day, what do you think Brian has to offer to his situation? What does society say Brian has to offer? Well, they may say, well, we need to do a program for Brian. We need to have 12-step recovery for Brian. Before Brian can contribute to anything in his city or in his community, something needs to be done for him. But what if I were to tell you that Brian had the superpower of transforming famine into feasting? That Brian saw in his community the need for better access to food. And that Brian had this idea that if a garden was to be created, then healthy food could be provided for those who are poor so that children could learn what it is to do sustainable gardening. But let me tell you about another human being. And her name is Tatiana. Tatiana is a single mother of two, low income, on food stamps, lives in substandard housing. What does society have to say about Tatiana? Well, before Tatiana can contribute to what is going on in her situation, something needs to be done for her. We need to have daycare for her. We need to contribute something for her. But what if I were to tell you that Tatiana has the superpower of vision? And Tatiana was able to see in her community the need for safe and recreational play area for children in her community. that Tatiana used her superpower of sight, of vision, and was able to get together a playground. For Brian and for Tatiana, they seemingly live in a four relationship. Low-income people that we think something needs to be done for them before they can participate in our society, to bring about transformation, to bring about human flourishing. That for Tatiana and for Brian, that they needed someone to come in and rescue them, but what they demonstrated was this, is that they could join leagues of other men and women and could be full participants in the participation in the human flourishing of where they lived. And so the idea that I want to talk about is with is greater than for. What makes stories like the Justice League or the Avengers or the Fantastic Four so awesome is that we see on display a variety of perspectives, a variety of intensities, a diversity of superpowers that come together to bring about human flourishing. That on display, these superheroes demonstrate a beautiful majesty, a beautiful imagery of what it means to come together. And so Brian and Tatiana participated in the same way. See, for persons in such situations like that, men and women who are socially marginalized or in low-income situations, for them to be able to participate in their human flourishing, it affirms their human dignity. It provides us an opportunity to see that in every person, whether they're affluent or poor, whether they are housed or homeless, whether they have dark skin color or light skin color, whether they are prisoned or free, that everybody has a superpower, that everybody has the opportunity to participate in the flourishing of their humanity. And so with is greater than for. Why? Because it affirms the presence of human dignity and the wealth of human personality that is within all of us. Every man, woman, and child, whether they're affluent or poor, whether they are educated or uneducated, whether they are born in America or whether they are foreigners, whether they are refugees, whether they live in an affluent area of town or whether they live in the poorest area of town, every man, woman, and child has this imago Dei, this image, this superpower that all of us can use towards our human flourishing. With is greater than for because it validates the ideas and the resources that come from every human being. That when we come around the table, think about it, that for the academically astute, for the economically privileged, for the politically influential, and for the single mother who lives in substandard housing, her idea is just as valuable as the man or woman who's got the Ph.D. or the $1 million or has been a senator. That when they come together, men and women can bring about transformation for a better world. And with is greater than for. Why? Because it communicates boldly to the world the power of collaboration. That when we collaborate together, that when we collaborate with a diversity of individuals, we can transform the dark days of men and women and children into bright tomorrows. And so with is greater than for. So I encourage all of us to shed our secret identities, to reveal our superpowers, and let's get to work. Thank you.